Who is on Team Jin and who is on Team Kazuya? This is something I've been thinking about for a while, but now that we have the Tekken 8 story trailer, we get a look into the massive conflict that's going to unfold when Tekken 8 is finally released. With some of these scenes just looking like an all-out war, it had me wondering which characters are fighting for which team. So I thought it'd be fun to make this short video predicting which side certain Tekken characters will be taking in this final fight for power. So let's do it. First things first, Jin and Kazuya are excluded for obvious reasons. They're the team leaders. They're the whole reason this thing is going down. So I don't even need to make a prediction on them. And with Devil Jin literally being Jin, there's no reason to speculate about him. So here we go. Certain characters are definitely easier than others. Claudio, Zafina, Ling Xiaoyu, and Panda are all on a quest to find Jin. You see it at the end of Ling Xiaoyu's character episode, and you can also read about it in their Tekken 8 bios. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume when they find Jin, they're gonna team up with him. It just wouldn't make sense for them not to. Paul Phoenix and Martial Law. Now I'm putting these two together for obvious reasons. They're best friends, they're always hanging out together, and they're overall just good dudes. So there's no reason for them to team up with Kazuya, unless he promised a big sum of money to them, because we all know they will do anything for money. So that would be an interesting twist. I would love to see them on Team Jin, obviously, but the only time they pop up is when we see Paul riding his motorcycle, and then we see both of them when Kuma is on fire flying over their heads, which then we could wrap Kuma into this and say, okay, well, what team is he gonna be on? Because Paul could have been fighting against Kuma, since we know he hates Kuma's guts for beating him in previous Iron Fist tournaments. Or they're all fighting together, Kuma saw an oncoming missile, and he took the hit for them. My only thing is, I don't see why Kuma would team up with Kazuya, since he's the reason that Heihachi's dead. But I don't think anybody actually knows that Kazuya killed him. The newspaper just states that Heihachi went missing, so maybe Kazuya tricks Kuma into joining his team. So for these three, I'm gonna say 50-50. Raven and Victor, these guys are a no-brainer, they work for the government, and we literally see them in the arena fighting with Jin's team. So they're obviously with him, fighting for humanity. Reina's a special case here because we do see her fighting with Jin's team, which I'm surprised because I thought she was gonna be bad, but maybe she's also not as good as she's letting off. She could just be joining Jin because she wants to kill Kazuya for killing Heihachi, if she even knows that he did it. And maybe she'll pull a fast one at the end, I don't know. But in the end, she is fighting to take down Kazuya, so I'm gonna put her on Jin's team. Azucena is an interesting one because I thought for sure she was gonna be good, but apparently she's with G-Core because they promote her coffee better, which is just crazy. In the end, maybe she'll decide to change her mind when she sees Kazuya's true colors, but I just can't believe that. Shaheen and Leroy Smith and Leo. We know Leroy is 100% on Jin's team because we see the bros fist bumping. Gotta love that. And Shaheen and Leo, I'm pretty sure, are teaming up with Jin just because they want revenge with Kazuya, with Shaheen wanting to reveal the truth of his friend's death and Leo wanting to avenge his mother, who Kazuya had killed. Next up is an interesting one, Asuka Kazama. We don't see her in the story trailer, but I also can't think of a reason why she'd be like, yeah, let me join Kazuya, this guy wants to take over the world, sure, why not? I feel like she's one of those characters that would just want to stay out of conflict altogether, but so is Lily, and Lily is on Team Jin, and I feel like wherever Asuka is, Lily isn't far behind. So in my opinion, I'm gonna say Asuka is Team Jin. Lee is like the Iron Man of Jin's team. He's making all the tech and funding everything, and we've seen him in multiple trailers, so he's a no-brainer. Same goes for Lars, so I'll just put both of those guys on Jin's team. Nina is interesting, but not surprising. I'm not upset, just kinda disappointed. She kinda just works for whoever pays the best, so her being on Kazuya's team doesn't really surprise me. My boy Hwoarang, I was so happy to see him in the arena standing side by side with Jin's team. So nonchalant, just being there because he can. I hope at some point in the story, him and Jin do get to fight, because he still wants to prove that he's the better fighter. Fang Wei's an interesting case because it talks about this in his bio, but he's on Team Kazuya. He was approached by Nina, who asked him to join, and he accepted because he wants to beat the bricks out of Leroy for defeating him in the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7. He's overall just not really a nice guy, so it kind of makes sense. Yoshimitsu is another interesting one. Now, while we did not see him in the trailer, we do know that Yoshi is a man of the people. As the head of a clan, he wants what's best for them, and seeing Kazuya take over the world, I don't think he's gonna side with that. Plus, I'm like 99% sure that Brian Fury is on Kazuya's team just because he's a psychopath, and Yoshi hates Brian's guts. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that Yoshi is siding with Jin, while Brian is on Kazuya's team. Lily, Alyssa, and Lars. Now, I already touched up on Lily and Lars. All three of these characters are confirmed to be on Jin's team. June is questionable. Obviously, she's not with Kazuya, but in a recent video I just made, I talked about whether I think June is actually alive, or if all the cutscenes that we've seen her in are in Jin's imagination. So I don't know. Obviously, she's on Jin's side, but she doesn't want Kazuya dead. She wants to save him. But if it came down to it, I do think she would fight him. So I'm gonna put her on Jin's team. Jack 8's a pretty easy one because we saw in a very early trailer that he was walking down the street with an army behind him with Nina. So obviously, he's with Kazuya. King is probably the weirdest case here because he really does not care for this Mishima conflict at all. He just wants money to provide for his orphanage. But because of the danger that Kazuya is putting the orphanage in, and the entire world in, perhaps King will suit up and join Jin on his quest to defeat Kazuya. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if Kazuya was able to bribe him to join his team. Steve Fox. There ain't no way that Steve is joining a team with his mother on it. He spent years of his life tracking her down, and she doesn't even care for him. So he's definitely Team Jin. Which leaves us to our last character, Sergei Dragunov. Personally, I think Dragunov would be a neutral party, so unless Kazuya has Dragunov's military under his thumb, I don't see why he'd be fighting for him. Because the only time we see him appear in the story trailer is when Victor is fighting against him. It could also possibly be a misunderstanding and Dragunov wants to help Jin, but Victor just hates his guts, so they go at it. So he's another character that I'm not sure. But that's all 32 characters in Tekken 8 and whose side I think they'll be taking. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, whether you agree, disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed the content and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. It'd really help the channel out. Also, don't forget I stream every Tuesday and Saturday, and you can join my Discord with the link down in the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, you'll see me in the next video.